Yo, what's going on, boy Ghost here, and today I am bringing you guys a pretty interesting comparison between the RAM-7 and M13. Now, I wanted to make this comparison video because I've been seeing the RAM get a lot of love recently and a lot more attention to it, and the M13 has become, ironically enough, one of my favorite weapons to use right now, and it's kind of crazy for me to say that because of how much hate I've put onto it over the last, I don't know, just the past few seasons of Warzone. But before we get into that, I want to say, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 2K. We recently just hit 1.66K, so thank you guys for that. Also, if you guys could also do me a favor and go follow my Twitch channel. I'm trying to get to 200 followers by the end of May, so we're like 14 away. So if you can help a brother out, go drop a follow. And lastly, if you found this video informative, useful, or entertaining, make sure to hit that like button. Let's just shoot for 15 likes. Let's see if we can hit it. I have a strong feeling we could do that. So yeah, with that being said, man, let's get into the comparison. And here we have the recoil pattern for the M13, which, as you can see, is nothing too crazy. And one of its biggest qualities that this gun has is the fact that it has 0 to no recoil. I'm not gonna lie though, although it has like no recoil, it's very easy to control. I still feel like I am not 100% accurate with the gun. Maybe it's because of the fast recoil, or not, my bad, the fast fire rate. And I feel like at times I really can't control the gun, which is weird. But I still like using this gun, and over the last few days, it's become my main gun. And I don't really know why, especially since I've given it a lot of hate in the past, and I've always said there's no way like this gun is like that good, as good as people made it out to be. But I can see what people were talking about. But at the same time, you guys got to give me a little slack, because at the time people were calling the M13 the best gun in the game. Other guns were in meta, and they were definitely a lot better than M13. Right now, though, with the meta being the way it is, I think the M13 has a lot of room to flourish. And if you take a look at the other competition, you have like the Craig, which I think the M13 could theoretically be better than the Craig. And then the AMAX, the only thing the AMAX has over the M13, which would be damage. But to be honest, now with the little nerf, and the fact that the recoil is kind of like weird, and I really, like, to be honest, I cannot fully control the AMAX recoil pattern. Like, no matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I hold down my right analog, I'd be missing a lot of shots. And I think the M13 is a really good weapon that, to me right now, has become a better alternative, or the better main weapon than the AMAX. I'm not saying that it's overall better than the AMAX, but for me personally, in my personal usage or personal preference, the M13 has become like my #1 AR. That's not to say though that the overall meta landscape is now the M13, because it's not. I still think the AMAX and Craig are more than likely the better options for as a meta, but I think the M13 could put up a threat and could become like another one of those weapons that people would consider meta, which, to be honest, I never thought I would see the day. But now, as I've been using it, it feels so different now. Like, I don't know, maybe it's because there's no completely overpowered weapon to make the other weapons seem really weak, but this gun just feels so much more powerful. And I know they didn't make a change to it, and I'm not saying they did, but I think now with a weapon that isn't killing in like 2 shots, it makes some of these weapons feel like they're more powerful. So I'm actually curious to see what the ground feels like, because if the M13's hitting like this, I can only imagine that the ground feels about the same as M13, or maybe even a little better. Stay tuned for that. But yeah, man, this M13, bro, like, I just gotta apologize to everyone that I called out in my last video or my other comparison video. I remember saying that, like, I can't believe there's a group of people that thought the M13 was a good weapon, but like now I'm sitting here praising it to be a good weapon, which I don't know. It just happens. The change happens, and like I'm just like at a loss for words, because I always hated on this gun, and I'm just here now praising it. And a matter of fact, I had a tournament. I guess today, the day this video goes out, it's gonna be Thursday. So yesterday, I had a tournament, and the main gun that I used was the M13 with the bullfrog. That has been my go-to loadout right now, and I have been frying with it. Now, I'm not gonna say like that's the go-to loadout right now, but listen, bro, use the M13, use the bullfrog. I feel like that's a top 5 loadout, no troll. I think it's definitely a top 5 loadout. I think the bullfrog, even though they like balanced it out, I think it's easily a top 3 gun SMG in the game, or top 3 secondary in the game. And adding on to the fact that you have this M13, which feels like a top 5 AR in the game, like, whew, loadout really smacks. And if they ever gave a buff to the M13, I actually think this would be one of the scariest meta if the M13 got a damage buff. Could you imagine if the M13 had like they buffed the damage slightly a little bit, or just by a tad bit? That I think the meta for the M13 would be very scary if this thing actually received the damage buff. But hey, I don't think we'd ever see that. But at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they made a change to this gun in terms of a buff. I don't think this gun will ever get a nerf. I don't think it's like too much of a threat to get a nerf. If it does, I don't know, man. But with that being said, man, let's get into the RAM. And here we have the recoil pattern for the RAM, which as you can see is completely different than the M13, obviously with a lot more recoil. And to be honest, the more that I've used this RAM, I kind of feel like it's a great value M13. Basically like a less of a version of the M13, if that makes sense. And aside from the whole mounting aspect of the RAM, which I'm pretty sure might be the reason why a lot of people are starting to use it, it's because of the mounting aspect, where if you mount, this gun literally has 0 recoil. And you know, normally when you say 0 recoil, it's like, oh, it has low recoil. This gun literally, not even just a little bit, moves when you mount. It is the most broken thing in the game, to be honest. And most notably, this gun was known for like its damage, but it's felt like over time, it feels like a marshmallow shooter. Like, I feel like I leave people one shot all the time with the RAM, and if I had like another AR, I would easily kill them. Now, I feel like some people have that same feeling. That's why I think the RAM hasn't really been getting like the whole meta talk, which is kind of strange because in previous seasons, the RAM would at times come up and be in the conversation for potential meta, but now it's like kind of there, but the whole damage aspect, which to be honest at this point feels like it's even lower than the M13, which is not, but I think with the M13's fast fire rate, it just kind of blows out of the water. And the fact that the M13 is a lot easier to control, like, it just makes it a lot more, I guess, and it's what made me lean more towards the M13 than the RAM. Maybe some other people like the whole aspect of like being mounted and having no recoil, and you know, it's very easy to mount. You can damn near mount on everything for those long ranges, but medium to close range, like, I think the RAM definitely could outgun a M13 and could be a viable secondary, and also like an accessory to a sniper. You know how, like, I know again a lot of people love to snipe, and the RAM I think is one of the top weapons right now at the moment to run with that sniper. You know, I think the M13 doesn't really have it at close to medium range. You know, it can win gunfights, but if you go up against, you know, actual SMG or even an XM4, like, I really think the M13 can't beat those guns. The RAM, on the other hand, I think is very capable, and I've seen a lot of people actually experiment with the SMG RAM, which I have not, but I don't really see it being better than the other secondary options. But you know, I'm gonna have to try it out, see what's up with that. But again, man, this RAM, I just see a lot of people use it, a lot of people talk about it. I think mainly because of Tfue. Like, if you guys have been paying attention to streamers and whatnot, Tfue like recently returned to the game, and he's been using the RAM, and he's definitely has showcased the ability to just mount on things and just have no recoil. He's like the #1 example for that type of stuff, and it's just, he makes the gun look insanely broken. And I don't know, I think I'm going to be using the RAM a little bit more now, but I, again, still prefer the M13. Right now, the M13 is like my main gun. Like, I think it's going to be my main gun until the next meta, or whatever other AR phase I go through, because, I don't know. I decided to just playfully use it for a video the other day, and it's become my gun. I've slayed with it now, and it just, again, makes me laugh thinking about how back in the day I used to hate on this weapon so much, and now I'm sitting here praising it and calling it one of the top guns in the game. Just, how time changes everything. It's just, it's crazy to me. And I know some of you guys already been in the M13 train, and, you know, that's dope. You know what I'm saying? Kudos to you guys for sticking with it, because, again, like, I'm not saying it's going to be, like, the top tier meta. Like, I think it could become like a mini meta in a way where it gets used quite often, but it's never going to be like that #1 face of Warzone gun. Like, I think it's going to be like how the AMAX and RAM were during the Kilo meta, where, like, the Kilo was the king, but, like, the AMAX and RAM were also, like, a partial meta because a lot of people like using it, and a lot of people, like, you know, had a lot of love for it. I think that's what the M13 is going to become to the Craig and AMAX. But again, I really think the M13, I don't know if I've been saying M16. If I have, I apologize. But the M13, I think definitely could be considered a better version than the Craig, no lie. The AMAX, again, the damage aspect, it doesn't beat it, but in every other aspect, it does a really good job at. And that's what made me choose the M13 over like AMAX and Craig. Like the AMAX I like, right? It's a very powerful weapon, but it just didn't feel comfortable, 100% comfortable in my hands. The Craig, the same thing with that. Like I felt like it was a little too slow at certain ranges. Like I don't know, the damage was cool, but you know I wasn't really vibing with it. But the M13 right now, it just feels like it surpasses both those weapons. It just, for me, it does. Again, statistically and all that, probably doesn't, but man, oh man. But anyways, man, let me know what you guys think about the RAM and M13, and where do you guys personally think you see them on like the meta landscape, or how do you view them as in comparison to like that AMAX or Craig? But yeah, man, thank you guys for watching. See you guys later, and I'm out. Peace.